Hello and welcome. In this video, I want to talk about how to start working with the files in the Python and the different steps to use it. So let's get started. In the Python, we can easily use the files. So the Python has many functions for creating, reading, updating, and deleting the files. And if you want to work with the Python, before doing anything, let's take a quick look at the different types of the files in the Python and why we need to learn how to use it. Generally speaking, we have two main types of the files. First, the text file, and the next one is the binary file. For better understanding, let's take a look at my example. Come over here and right click and let's create the simple text file and the text file. So if I click on it, currently it is empty and this is only the simple text file. So we can write something inside it like this. Hi, I'm Python programmer. So this is only the text and I can write anything that I want and save it inside the text file. So come over here and save. Now I have a simple text file that I can easily use it to save my text like this one or any other text. And also we can use the text files to save the settings like this one. For instance, let's select this and delete that. Username equals to Sarah, for instance, and the password. So we can use the text files to save and load the values and settings inside it, like the username, the password, and also I can write another value like the cell number and write something like this. And also I can add another type of the settings inside it, like the address, for instance. So we can easily use the text files to save the settings inside it. And after that, we can get access to the data by the functions inside the Python easily and quickly. So we can use the text files in the Python to get access to the settings like this easily and quickly. And this was about the text file inside the Python. Despite of this one, I have another kind of the file, and it is the binary file. For better understanding, let's take a quick look at my images. This is the image file, so if I right click on it and open that with the notepad. So let's open that. Wow, what is this? Indeed, the binary files aren't readable by the human. So it is something like this, and I can read inside it, and these aren't human readable. So the binary files aren't human readable, and if we want to read it, we need to open the binary file with all the applications. So this is the image file, and if I right click on it, open with, I can read the content of my binary file like the image with the paint and the photos, for instance. So if I open that with the paint, I have something like this. And also I can use another file to read the content of the binary file like the photos, and this is. So if you want to read the content of the binary file, you need to use another application. This is the image file, so I need to open it with the photos or the paint or other photo viewer applications. And also if I come over here in the Python, and this is the zip file. So if you want to open the zip file, you can use the WinRAR, for instance, or the WinZip application. And also I have the .py file that is human readable, as I told you previously. And it is a kind of the text file indeed. So this is the binary file, and also I talked about the text file. Despite of the binary file that aren't human readable, we have the text file that we can easily read the content of it. And as I told you, I have the text file something like this, and I can use it to save my settings. Also, I can create another type of the file. Come to the new and the text file. And currently the extension of my file is txt. I can say htm for the HTML. So do you want to change? Yes. Now I have something like this, that if I right click on it and open with what? Open with Google Chrome Internet Explorer or the Microsoft Edge. And let's select the Microsoft Edge. So I successfully opened my HTML file and it's completely empty. Indeed, the HTML is the extension for the web pages. And if I come over here, right click on it, open with, and the notepad. Currently, I don't want to talk about the HTML and how to work with it because it needs many hours of the dedicated video tutorials. And currently, we don't need it indeed. So if I write something like this, the angle brackets, and let's zoom in, then the H1 for the header. And after that, something like this. And this is. Inside the header, I can write hello world or the hello Python. So I can copy it and paste it over here. And I just want to show the quick example and the quick project with the HTML. So the header 3 and the header 4 and finally header 5. So if I save this and after that open my file for the next time and the Microsoft Edge. Wow, what happened? The Hello Python with the different fonts. Indeed, this is the power of the HTML. And the HTML is the core of every web page all around the world. All the web pages inside the internet are based on the HTML. So if I come over here and let's select the Google, for instance, and this is the google.com or any other websites. Currently, my Google hasn't any result here. And suppose I want to search the Python and press enter. And if I right click over here in the white space and view page source. So this is the HTML version of my web page. And you can see something like this. So in the back behind each web page in the internet is based on the HTML language. And as I told you, I don't want to talk about the HTML and how to work with it. I just want to quickly introduce the HTML to you. So this is another kind of the text files and it is the HTML. So we can easily use the Python to get access to the contents of the HTML files and also the text files. And after that, we can start working with the binary files. But the binary files, as I told you, is not human readable. So I prefer to work with the text file and also the HTML files. Okay, excellent. Congratulations. Now we learned a lot of tips and tricks about the files in the Python. And the next topic is about the different steps for working with the files in the Python. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about the different steps for working with the files in the Python. In the Python, if you want to work with the files and use it, you need to consider three main steps. At the first step, we need to open the file. So we can easily open the file with the different parameters. And we have the codes over here. And currently, I don't want to talk about all of this. Later, I'll talk about the open method one by one. So don't worry about anything. So open the file, and after opening the file, we need to use the different functions for working with the files. For reading, appending, writing, creating, and also the updating. And what about the deleting the file? For deleting the file, we don't need to open the file. Later, I'll talk about how to use the OS module to delete and rename the files. So at the first step, we need to open the file, then run the appropriate functions to read, append, update, write, and create the files. Then we need to close the file and everything will be done. So for better understanding, let's take a quick look at the code. At the beginning, I have the open and you can see the open code over here. Then at the parentheses and my file name to be opened. And after that, I have the second parameter, the mode. And the mode is the file mode that you want to work with the file. Later, I'll talk about this one by one. And after opening the file, I'll assign it to the variable and for instance, the f. So after opening the file, I need to use the functions And here I can write the functions, for instance, to read and write or append. And after reading and executing the file functions, it's time to close the file. So I can easily close the file by a single line of the code. So I have the open, my code, and closing the file. And also I have some modes for different operations on the file. So this is the quick tour about the different steps for working with the files. In my upcoming tutorial, I'll talk about how to start reading the file easily and quickly. So don't worry about anything and just stay with me. With the best wishes. Thanks for your time. Hello and welcome. What's up? In this video, I want to talk about how to start working with the Python code to read the content of the text file and show it in the console. So let's get started. First, I talked about the main steps for working with the files. The first one is opening the file, then executing the functions, and finally closing the file. At the beginning, we need to open the file, and we have something like this. Then closing it by this line of the code. So come over here and come to my project. Until now, I talked about the basics of the Python. So come to the hello world, right click on it, new, and I want to talk about the interim or intermediate. This is the interim, it stands for intermediate. So right click over here and the new directory inside it. Let's select the file and press enter. So right click over here, new, and the Python file. I want to work with the read. So this is the read and press enter. Now I need to write my code to read the file. First I talked about the text file, and as I told you, we can create something like this. And the username, the password, the cell number, and the address. Indeed, this is a kind of text file that holds or saves the settings of the application. And one of the most important usages of the text file is holding or saving the settings and the important information and data inside the project. So we can use it. Come over here and come to the file. This is my folder, new, and the file. Click on it. Name it, for instance, the data or info. It's not important matter. This is my file name. Don't forget to add the extension. Let's leave it currently to the txt and press enter. So I have the info.txt and I want to save all of my data inside it. To start my tutorial, let's copy this part and copy. So paste it inside the info.txt. Now I have the username, password, cell, and address. Also, you can change the address to anything that you want, like this. So this is node 12 and the Canada. Now let's save everything and come over here and save all of my data. Now let's come to the read. At the first step, let's open my file. As I told you, the opening function and procedure is really simple. Just write the open, then the parentheses, and inside it I have two parameters. First the file name, then the mode. So let's do it. Come over here, come to this one and say open. This is the keyword, so you can sit over here and press enter. Now I need to add my file name. Currently my file name is beside my Python file. So I can directly use the name of it, info.txt. So let's add the double quotations. Then write the info.txt easily and quickly. And after that add comma. And here I need to write my second parameter. And the second parameter is the mode or file mode. It is a string and you need to select one of these. R for opening and reading the file, W for opening and writing the file, A for appending, X for creating, R plus for reading and writing the file, and finally A plus, read and append. Currently I want to read the data, so I should write the R. And inside the mode, I have the R and it is the lowercase over here. So let's do it. Come over here and the R. R stands for read. Now I have the file and this is So I need to assign it to another variable. For instance, I can assign it to the my file, and this is. Also, you can write anything that you want. And currently I have the F over here, for instance. You can change it to anything that you wish. Now I have the F or my file. In the next step, as I told you, we need to close the file. Before doing anything, it's a really important matter to close the file. So I have the my file, and let's write my file. This is, and the close. Don't forget to use the close method to close the file. And inside these methods, I can write my needed files to read the data from the file. And as I mentioned, my text file is beside my Python file. So I can directly use the name and extension of it over here as the parameter for my file name without any other matters. Directly the name of my file and the mode. So it's time to read the value. To do that, I can use different codes. The most common is read. By using the read, I can read the entire file and assign it to the variable like the R, then print the R. So come over here and say my file. This is my file, dot. In this list, you can see the most important methods and properties for working with the file. So the most common is the read. The read will read all of the content of the file and assign it to my variable. So I can come over here and say, for instance, the content, then equals, and after that, if I come over here, right click, run. So currently I haven't anything over here. Why? Because I opened the file by this line of the code. Then I use this line to get the content of my file and did all of this. Then I close the file. If you want to see the content, you need to print that. So let's say print what? Print the content. And I have the content over here. Now if I run, congratulations, I have all of my content and data over here, including the username up to the address. And indeed, by using this line of code, I can easily read the entire data. Then by using this line of code, I printed the data in my console. Congratulations, it's really amazing and great. Welcome back. Now let's talk about another parameter inside the read. Suppose I want to read the specific number of items and characters inside my file. For instance, I want to read only 4 letters or only 5 letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to here. Or also up to here. We can easily assign the number of characters that we want to read. So come over here, come to this one, and inside the read, I can write, for instance, 5. So right click over here, run. Now I have the user n. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I come over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also, I can use any number that I want. For instance, I can come to this one and say 25 or 20. And if I run, so I have this result, user, the arrow up to the password. So I can decide the number of items and characters that I want to read from my text file easily and quickly by using this single number over here. But there is another really tricky note. Can we change the first starting index or the first character over here to read? Yes, we can do it, but it's time consuming. So let's talk about it in the next tutorial. Stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to change the first index or the first starting index to be read from the text file. First, I talked about the read and how to read the data. But if I run the application, the Python will read the data from the beginning, the username, and if I come over here and check it from the beginning. But sometimes I need to change the start point. So we can do it easily. Before reading the data, I can come to this one and say my file, then add dot. And here I have the seek. By the seek, I can change the starting index or the first index to be read from the file. Inside the seek, I can write the index to be read. For instance, if I write the 0 and run, So the first index is 0 and I have everything from the scratch from here. And suppose I want to start from the next one. So the first one is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to the end. Now if I change it to the 10 and run it, now I have the ARA. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this is the 10, ARA. You can see the ARA is my first characters. That's the Python returned. So I can easily change the first index. Sometimes we need to use the seek method to change the index. And it is completely based on your needs, which index you want to read the data from. So in this example, I can easily use from the 10, 0, or any other numbers. For instance, the 15. So if I come over here and I have the password up to the end. And indeed, I ignored the first line with every characters inside it. And this is the power of the seek. Congratulations, now we know how to change the first index to be read from the text file. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to read the data line by line. So let's do it. Come over here. Currently, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 lines. So I can read the data line by line instead of reading the data entirely. To do that, if I come over here, come to this one, and before doing anything, let's comment this part and this part. So come to the next one and say the content. This is my content, exactly the same name because I used it over here. Then the my file, this is my file, add dot, and here I have the read line and read lines. In this video, I want to talk about the read line to read the lines one by one. Then I'll talk about the read lines. So let's start working with it. This is the read line. If I use it without any parameters, the first line will be read. Let's see. Come over here, right click and run. Now I have the username Sarah. So I have the first line and this is. And if I want to read the next line, I need to repeat my code. So this is copy and paste over here, read line. Now if I run my application, so I have the password and you can set over here the password. And also if I come to the next one and repeat my code for the third time, so run my application, I have the cell number and this is the cell number up to the end. Also I can use the print method after each read line. So this is read line and read line. Now if I run, I can get access to all of my data one by one, the username, the password, and the cell. So after reading each line, I want to print the content, and you can see something like this. So I used 3 times the read line to read the lines one by one, and also I have printed the content 3 times, 1, 2, and 3. So I have 3 lines over here. Congratulations, now we know how to read the lines one by one. And remember, this method is really great and practical when we want to read the data line by line. And don't forget, like the read method, we can limit the number of characters to be read in the read line. For instance, I want to read only 5 characters. So come over here and inside the parentheses, write the 5. Or in the next one, write 4 or the 2. So if I run, I can see the different result. The user and if I check it over here, the user and it is up to here. Indeed, if you use this number inside the read line, the characters up to 5 characters will be considered as the first line. So up to here will be considered as my first line. Then I use the number 4. So up to 4 numbers after my first line. Indeed, after this, from here up to 4 characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, will be considered as my second line. And after that, the SA, indeed, based on this one, the 2, and the SA will be considered as my third line. And this is the power of the number of items inside the read line. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we know how to work with the read line. Despite having the read line, we have another one, and it is the read lines. We can use it to get all of the lines at once. Let's talk about it in my upcoming tutorial. Stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about how we can read all of the lines at once and print it out in the console. So let's do it. Previously I talked about the read line and how to work with it to print the lines one by one and read it easily and quickly. So let's select this and comment all of this. And after that, come over here and say the content. I want to work with the new one, and it is what? It is my file, and this is my file dot. And this is the read line, my previous tutorial. And after that, I have the read lines to read all of the lines at once. Now, if I come over here and run my project, so I have everything over here from the beginning up to the end. But all of these are inside the simple list that the items are separated by the comma. First, second, third, fourth, up to the end. And as I told you previously, we can use the for loop structure to get access to all of these items one by one. And also at the end, I have the \n. This means the new line, and also the new line over here, and at the end, I haven't any new line. So the \n over here means the escape character or the new line. Now let's come over here and come to this one, and I want to work with the for loop structure. Previously I talked about it to read the data one by one. It's really simple and straightforward. For each x in my content, so this is my content, do what? Print, and this is my print what? Print the x. So this is also, I can print the content at once. So come over here and print the content before the for loop structure. So this is the result. Now I have two prints. First one to print entire data from here up to the end, and the next one for printing the items one by one. If you don't know anything about the for loop structure, it means you need to refer to my previous tutorial. I talked about it in depth with many great projects, so don't hesitate to watch my previous tutorials. And after that, if I run, so I have the lines one by one. The first one is username Sarah, then the free space. Why? Because I had the \n over here, and after that the next one and the next one up to the end. So I have every data that are printed one by one by the for loop structure easily and quickly. And this is the power of for loop structure for working with the read lines. Now let's talk about another tricky note. Currently, as I told you, I have the new line at the end of each item over here, or each line. So I have the empty line here, here, and here. Exactly like this, this, and this. I can easily delete and remove this new line. Let's do it. I can come over here, come to this, add dot. First I talked about the replace and how to use it to replace something inside your string. So I want to replace the \n or the new line. From what? From my string or the x, and replace it with nothing. So this is the result. And after that, the new line over here will be deleted. Now come over here and run. Now all of my data are without any empty lines, and this is my first line, second, up to the end, and every empty lines are removed successfully. And this is the power of the replace. And don't forget, this is a really important note, \n means escape character for adding the new line. It's really important and the most common between the programmers, the \n. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we know how to work with the read lines. So my mission is done successfully, and we learned a lot of tips and tricks for reading the data from the text file. So we are over here and we learned the read, or this one indeed. And also there is another final tricky note, and it is the file type. Let's talk about it in my upcoming tutorial. Stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about the file type in the Python open method. As I told you previously, we have two main types of the files. First one is text file and the next one is binary file. Currently, I want to work with the text file and my file is something like this. It is completely the text file. So by default, the Python will open the file as the text file. And for the text file, we need to add the T after the mod over here and something like this, open text file and RT. But by default, the Python, if you don't assign the T or the file type over here, will consider your file as the text. And if you want to open your file as the binary, you need to add the lowercase b after your file mod over here. Currently, we have the R only. So if you want to open your file as the text, don't forget to add the T. And if you want to open your file as the read mode and as the binary file, don't forget to add the B. And as I told you, by default, every file will be considered as the text. So we don't need to write the T over here. And it is completely optional. If I write the T, then this file will be considered as the text. If I write the B, then this file considered as the binary. And if you don't write anything, then this file will be considered as the text or something like this. Now, if I run my application, the same result is over here. And if I delete this one, the file mode, and run, so this time, like the previous one, the file mode will be considered as the text, because the T is the previous file type over here in the open mode. It's really important. And the tricky note, RT, or read the text file. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned the different file types, including the text or the T and binary or the B. So it's your time. I'm going to start working with the open function or open method to read the text file. And stay with me with my great upcoming tutorial about how we can write the value inside the text file. Thanks for your time. Hello and welcome. In this video, I want to talk about how to start writing the Python code to write some values inside the text file. So let's get started. First, I talked about how to read the values from the text file, and we created this great project. Now it's time to write the values inside the text file. Suppose I have the text file, and if I come over here, this is my text file, the info, and I have some settings inside it, or I have some values inside my text file, and I wanna write no values inside this file. So we can use the write function and write everything that we need inside this text file. At the beginning, let's talk about the structure and the steps for writing the values. As I told you previously, at the first step, we need to open the text file. Then we need to use the appropriate mode. Previously, I talked about the R, that we can use it to read the values. Now we want to write the values. So the next option is the W, the lowercase w. The W will open the file to write. And if the file doesn't exist, then this function will create the file. In the read, as I told you previously, if the file doesn't exist, then this function will return the error. So if you want to read the file, you need to create the file first, then read it. And if you haven't the file, so you'll get the error. But in the writing, if you have the file, so no matter, you can easily write inside it. And if you haven't the file, then automatically this method will create the file for you. And after that, write everything that you want inside the file. Now I have the file and I opened it. Then it's time to write the code to write the values inside my file. And finally, we need to close the file. As I told you, we can use the T and the B. T for the text file after the W. Then we can use the B for the binary file after the W. Currently, I want to work with the text file. So by default, the file type is text. As the result, we don't need to write anything after the W if we want to work with the text file. Now let's do it inside the application. Come over here, and this is my read file. Come to the file, right click on it, new, and I want to create the new Python file. So this is, and the write. So I have the write over here, and at the beginning I need to open the file. To speed up my tutorial, let's come to the read and copy the codes. Let's copy all of these codes. And currently I assume that you watched my previous tutorial, and if you don't know anything about my previous tutorial, don't hesitate to watch it first. So at the beginning I need to open my file, and you can see something like this, and after opening I need to write. So let's select this and up to here, and copy this one and paste it over here, and after that I need to close the file. So this part is common between the read and write, opening file and closing it. Now we need to assign the file name to write, the value inside it. This is my info, so you can see it over here. So I can use it, or like me, let's add the 2 over here, and it is the info2 to write the values inside the new text file. And after that I have the R. Let's change it to the W. As I told you, you can use the WT, and this is the text file because I have the text file, or WB for the binary file, or let's leave it by default, and the default is the W, and you can see something like this. The W means WT, or the write text file. So by default this is the text file. As the result, we don't need to use the T over here, and this is enough for me. And the next is that we need to write the values inside my text file. It's really simple, and let's say the my file. This is my file, and after that add dot. First I talked about the read line and all the options. In this video I need to use the write. So I have the write, then the write lines. So let's select the first one and the write. Inside the write, if I hover on it, I can write everything that I need. So come over here and add some string inside it and say hello Python. So this is my hello Python. Now if I right click over here and run, so this is the result. Now let's come over here, and this is the info2 file. And as I told you previously, if you haven't this file, then it will automatically generate it for you. So I have the info2, and if I click on it, congratulations, hello Python. So my info2.txt is generated automatically, and I have this value inside it easily and quickly. This was the simple example for my code. Also, the write will return the value, and its value is integer. So let's come over here and say, for instance, the R, or return. Then print the R. This is the print R, and this is. Now let's say come over here, and if I run the application again, I have the 13. The 13 is number of characters that is written inside the text file. 1, 2, 3 up to 13. So the return value of the write method is number of characters that are inserted inside my text file. So my return value is 13. Now I successfully inserted the text inside the text file, and this is the result. Let's write something inside it like this and save it. So I have this text inside my text file, and if I run the write code again for the next time, let's see the reaction. Come over here, run it. So it is 13, and if I check it, wow, everything is deleted. And this is a really tricky note. After executing the write method, everything inside your text file will be deleted, then the new value will be inserted inside it. And this is a really important matter. Okay, excellent. Now we know how to use the write to write some text inside the text file. Also, I can read the value and print it over here to be sure that everything is saved. To do that, I can come over here and copy, and this is the result. I can easily read the values inside my text file. So to do that, come over here, copy, and paste over here. And this is my info text, and don't forget to add the R over here because I want to read the values. And also I can say the content equals to what? Equals to my file, and this is my file. I want to read the content of my file, so this is the read. Now my content is the text inside my file, so I can easily print it out, and the content. So this is the content, and everything will be done. Now it's time to run the application, but before that, this is really important and critical, tricky note. Before opening the file, don't forget to close it first, then open it. So currently I have the open over here and the write here and print. And as I told you previously, after opening the file and executing some operations, don't forget to close it first. And the reason of closing the file is to preventing the unexpected errors. So come over here, and this is my open. Before that, I can close the file. Previously I talked about it. This is copy and paste over here to speed up my tutorial easily and quickly. So let's add some comment here. Now I have the open here and close for writing the values, and also I have the open for reading and closing the file. Now if I right click over here and run, so I have the 13 and the hello Python. Also if I come to the info2, so the same result, and if I come to the right and change it to this for instance, so run it. Now I have the result that is printed successfully over here and also here. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we know how to print the result out after writing the values inside the text file easily and quickly. And in the next step, there is a simple question. Can we write the multi-line values inside the text file? And the answer is yes, you can do it easily and quickly. But it's time consuming. Let's talk about it in the next tutorial. Stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to write the multi-line values inside your text file. So let's do it. First, I talked about how to use the write method to write only single line of the text inside your text file. But if I want to add the new line, so come over here and hello Python, I love you. Now this is my first value and the second value. So right click over here and run. Now what happens? I have only single line of the values over here. This is the first value and the second value. But I have only the single line of the values. And if I check it over here inside my info2, so the single line of the values over here. But suppose I want to put the second one in the next line. To do that, I can easily use the escape character. This is my first line. So at the end of it, add the backslash, then the A. This is the escape character, the backslash, and will generate the new line to the text file. So go over here and run. Now I have the first line and the second line. Congratulations. Also the same result over here, the first line and the second line. So we can do it easily using the escape character at the end of the first line, or I can put it at the beginning of the second line over here. So this is my second line, and at the beginning I added the escape character. And if I run it, the same result over here, the first line and the second line. Also, I can add many other lines that I want, like this. I love you and you love me. This is, and if I run it currently, I haven't the new line over here. So I can add the escape character at the end of this line over here, and you can see the result. Or I can cut this and put it at the beginning of the third line. So the same result. Hello Python, I love you, you love me. And everything is done only by using the single character, and it is the escape character. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we know how to save the multi-line values inside the text line. And there is another method in the write, and it is the write lines. Let's talk about it in my upcoming tutorial. Stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about how we can use the write lines to write the multiple values inside the text file easily and quickly. So let's do it. First, I talked about the write and how to work with it. Moreover to this method, I have another one, and it is the write lines. So come over here and without changing anything, let's copy this part and come to this one and comment it out like this. So come to the next one. Now paste it over here, and I have the write, so let's write the write lines. And by using the write lines, I can directly put the collection of data inside the text file. Previously I talked about the list and how we can work with it. So suppose I have three parameters and the values. This is my first value, my second value, and the third value. And as I told you previously, we can add these values using the plus over here and here, or I can use the list. So this is my list, and currently I'm using the write lines. And if I want to work with the write lines, I need to add the list inside it as the parameter. So this is my first square bracket at the beginning and at the end of it. Also, I need to separate the values using the commas over here. So this is my list, and I want to add it inside the text file using the write lines, because this is not the single string and it is the list of strings. So I can easily work with it. Now if I come over here and run, so hello Python, I love you and you love me, all of this. And if I come and check inside my text file, the same results over here. And don't forget, if you want to add the new line, you need to use the escape character. And if you want to write these inside the single line, so don't forget to delete the escape character up to here. Now if I run, so all of these are inserted in the single line. So this is the result up to here. And the same result over here. Hello Python, I love you, you love me. And this is the power of the write lines. And this undo, so this is, and if I run it again, so I have three lines of the values inside my text file. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we know how to use the write lines to put the multiple values inside the text file easily and quickly. Now it's time to talk about final tips and tricks, how to work with the write method. It's really amazing and great. So stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about the final tips and tricks for working with the write. So let's do it. As I told you previously, if you want to use the write method, then the value will be inserted at the beginning of your text file over here. But suppose we want to change this position, and suppose I want to write the text at the, for instance, at this position. To do that, we can easily use the seek method. Previously I talked about the seek method and how to use it to change the current position of the read method. So I can come over here and come to the write lines, and let's comment this one, and let's use the write method to add all of this inside it. Before writing it, I can come over here, and this is my file. So the my file dot seek. First I talked about the seek, and as I told you, we can use the number of characters inside the seek method to jump to it by the Python. So suppose I wanna start writing the values from the 10th position. So this is the result. Now if I right click over here and run, so I have something like this, up to 10 empty characters over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to the 10. And if I come and check it over here, wow, what happened? This is null, null up to the end. I have 10 nulls over here because of the seek method. And after using the seek method, the Python will jump directly inside this position. So I have the 10 nulls over here, then the hello Python up to the end. And if I copy this part and come over here, and this is my text file. So if I paste it here, now I have the null over here. Indeed, the null means nothing here. So this is the method for adding the spaces or the empty spaces inside your write method easily and quickly. Congratulations, now we'll learn many tips and tricks for working with the write method and the write lines. So my mission is successfully accomplished and it's your turn. And remember, the main key of the Python programming is your effort. So if you got any unexpected errors, don't hesitate to watch my tutorials many times from scratch. Then try and try. With the best wishes. Thanks for your time. Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to start working with the append and create in the Python. So let's get started. Till now, I talked about how to read and write the data. Moreover to this, I have another options, and it is the append and the create. Let's start working with the append. Sometimes we need to add the values to the end of the file without deleting the current data. So to do that, we have the append. The append and the create is like the write and read. So we need to repeat these steps. First, open the file, execute the codes, and close the file at the end. So at the first step, we need to open the file. Then instead of the file mode, we can use the A. A stands for append. And after running the open with the A parameter, it will open the file to append. And like the write, the append parameter will create the file if it doesn't exist. So this part of the write and the append is similar together, creating the file if the file doesn't exist in the project beside your Python file. So let's say it. Come over here and come to this one, right click over here, new, and the Python file, and name it append. This is the append, and the structure of the append is like the write. And the only thing we need to change is the file mode, and we need to change the W to the A. So to start my tutorial, I can come to the write and copy all of these one by one. So let's copy entire and come to the append and paste over here. Currently, I assume that you watched my previous tutorial about how to use the write method. At the first step, we need to open the file. Let's select another name, for instance, the info3 over here. Then change the W to the A. A stands for append. And after that, I need to use the write method to append the new value to the end of your file. So this is the write method for adding the data to your file. And currently I haven't the info3 file. So the Python will be generated automatically after opening it as the append. It is like the write method. After opening the file, I need to use the write and write these values to the end of the text file. Then print the result of the write method. And this is not necessary, so you can easily skip that and close the file. Then open the new file, and it is the info3 up to here indeed. And after that, if I come over here, right click and run append. So the info3 is generated automatically because it doesn't exist, and the append will generate it automatically. Then add all of this to the end of the file. So I have the hello Python, I love you, you love me. And it is the hello Python, I love you, you love me. Suppose I want to add another data to my file. It's really simple and it's straightforward. To do that, let's select all of this and delete that and add another one, and let's write welcome. So this is the welcome, and it is in the append mode. So the welcome will be added or appended to the end of this. So if I right click over here and run, now I have the hello Python, I love you and you love me, and the welcome is added or appended to the end of my text, indeed over here. So this is the power of the append. Indeed, the append will add the text to the end of your file. And also if I come over here and write another one, for instance, the hi, so run it. Now the hi is added at the end of my text file, exactly over here. So if you use the append, the entire value inside your text won't be changed. Instead of that, the new value will be added to the end of your file. So this is the power of append, and the main difference between the append and the write is this one. If you write something inside the text file, everything will be deleted. Then the new values will be inserted in the text file. But in the append, my previous values won't be changed, and the new value is added to it. And this is the main difference between the append and the write. Now suppose you want to add the new line to my file. So come over here and add the escape character like this, as I told you previously. So hi, and if I run it, now I have the hi is added over here in the new line at the end of my file. So let's check it, come over here, and the hi is added, but in the new line. So this is the append. Welcome back. Now let's talk about the create and how we can create the file using the Python code. So let's do it. First, I talked about write, read, and also the append. But sometimes we need to create the file. To do that, we can use the lowercase x inside the file mode while opening it. So the x means open the file to create. And if you use the x to create the file, this method will return the error if the file exists. And this is the difference between the create and the write and append. If I have the file, then the result will be the error. But in the append, no error, and in the write, no error. So let's do it. Come over here and come to this one, right click on the file, new, and the Python file, and name it create. This is the create. And the steps for creating the file is like previous tutorials, like the read, write, and the append. So we need to open the file, then close the file easily and quickly. So let's do it. Come over here, and to start my tutorial, let's copy the codes from the write, for instance, copy, and inside the create, paste it. So this is. And after that, the only thing we need is opening the file, then closing it if we don't need it. So come over here and come to this one, and this is the result. First open, then close it. And in this example, we don't need to run any codes between the open and the close. So let's change it to the x, and currently I have the info2.txt, and we have it over here. So if I run this code, the result will be the error. So run, and the error, file exists, error, file exists, the info2.txt. But if I write the new file name, for instance, the info4, and run my code for the next time, so the result is nothing. It means the file is generated, and I have the info4 over here. So it is completely empty without anything inside it, after creating it with the x. And you know what, if you want to only create the file instead of the x, you can use another method, and you can use the w. As I told you, the w will create the file if it doesn't exist, and if the file exists without any errors, easily it will ignore creating the file. So if you want to create the file without any errors, then you can use the w without any code inside it. Let's say come over here, and this is the x. Also, I can use the w. So let's see the reaction of the w, and name it, for instance, the info4. Currently, I have the info4, and it is completely empty. So if I run without any problem and any errors, I have the result. So this is the info4, and I didn't get any errors. So if I write the new file name, for instance, the info5, and run it with the W. So run it without any errors, and I got this file over here. Indeed, the W is generated the new file for me, info5, and run it again for the next time. So without any errors, easily escape the creation of the new file without any errors. But in the create, if I use the X, at the first step, if I change the file, so this is the new file, at the first run, without any problem, only the file is generated. And if I run the code for the next time, so this is the error, file access error. And this was the main difference between the W and the create for creating the new file. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we know how to append the text in the text file and how to create the file using the X file mode. So it's certain go and start working with these great options and stay with me with my amazing and great upcoming tutorial. Thanks for your time. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to start using the R plus to read and write the files at once. So let's get started. Till now, I talked about the R, W, A, and the X file mode to read, write, append, and create the files. But sometimes we need to read and write the files at once or after each other. In this situation, we can use the read and the W, both of these. Or I can use another file mode, and it is the R plus. By using the R plus, we can open the file to read and write. But don't forget, this method will return the error if the file doesn't exist. And this is a really important matter. We have the error if we haven't the file. So the structure of using the R plus is like previous one, and it has 3 steps. First, open, then execute the codes, and finally close the file. Let's say it. Come over here, and this is my file. So right click on it, and I want to add the new Python file. So let's name it read write. This is the read write, and inside it I need to use the same steps: the open, the execution codes, and the close. To start my tutorial, let's come and get inside the write and copy all of these codes, and after that inside the read write I can easily paste it. Now let's go over here. At the first step, I need to open the file. But in this example, we need to use another file name. Currently, I have the info4. For instance, I can use the info7 or 5. It's not important matter, the name of the file. Or I can say info read write RW. Info underscore RW read write, or anything that you want. And finally, instead of the W, I need to use the R plus. R plus means read write. And after that, I have the write method over here. Let's select this part for better results, and this part also. And after that, we don't need to close the file because we want to open it as the read write. And after that, I have the open file here to get access to all of the contents of the file. Finally, I have the close file. Now let's select this and delete that also. And after that, I don't need to open the file one more time. So let's delete this, and everything is ready for me. So I have the info RW text, and I want to open it as the read write by the R plus. Then I want to write my first text inside it. Let's say the hello Python, or hello read write in the Python. So this is hello read write in Python, and after that I want to read the file and print the file and close the file. Previously I talked about all of this. Now if I right click over here and run, so I have this error, file not found error. Which file? The info rw.txt. So this was the tricky note as I told you in my tutorial. The R plus or read write will return the error if the file doesn't exist. So before using the R plus, we need to be sure that we have this file. So we can do it easily by different methods. So the first one is adding the file manually. Come to the new and the file. So we need to write the file name exactly, info.rw.txt, and press enter. Now I have the info.rw.txt. So if I run my application one more time, run, without any problem, everything is done. And if I get inside the info.rw, hello read write in Python, it means everything is done automatically. So come over here and this is my read write, and after that I have the content and the read. So after writing this value inside my file, inside my info.rw, I'm using the read method and assigning it to the content, then print the content. But in the console, I can't see the results of this print. It means there's something wrong. Remember, if you want to work with the RW after writing something inside your text file, the pointer or the start position of the file will be changed. So you need to set the start point or the current position of your text file to the 0. Previously I talked about it. Now let's come over here and say the myfile.sig. As I told you in the previous tutorials, if you want to change the current position of your file, then we need to use the sig. So currently I'm writing the text inside my text file. After that I need to set the position of my file to the beginning by the sig to 0. Then read the entire file and print the content. Now if I right click over here and run, wow, everything is working perfectly. Hello read write in Python. So this is a really tricky note to read the content of your file. Don't forget to use the sig before reading the file if you want to work with the R+. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned how to work with the R+ to read and write the files at once inside your codes. So if you want to work with the R+, as you see over here, you don't need to open and close your files frequently. At the top, I opened my file. Then after writing and reading the data, at the end, I have the close to close my file. So this is the power of the R+. Congratulations, it's done. So what about the next step? In the next step, I'll talk about how to use the A+ to read and append the values. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to start using the A+ to open the file as read and append. So let's get started. Till now, I talked about the R+, X, AW, and R. Finally, I want to talk about another one, and it is the A+. The A+ opens the file to read and append. We have the R+, that the result is read and write. But instead of the read and write, we can use A+ to read and append. In the write mode, the existing data is deleted, but in the append, the data will be added to the end of the file. And also, if we want to work with the A+, the file will be created if it doesn't exist. But in the read write, we have the error if the file doesn't exist. And these are the differences between the R+ and A+. So in the A+, we don't need to create the file, and the file will be created automatically. Now let's use it. If I want to work with the A+, like my previous tutorials, we have the same steps: the open, the execution codes, and the close. So come over here and come to the file, right click on it, new, and the Python file. Let's name it, for instance, the read append. This is the read append, and press enter. To start my tutorial, let's get inside the read write and copy this code. So go over here and read append and paste inside it. Instead of the R+, we need to use the A+. And after that, let's use the different name, info.rw, read write. Let's name it RA, or read append.txt. And after that, like my previous tutorial, we have the same codes. At the first step, we need to write the text. And indeed, using this line of the code, we'll append the text to the end of my text file. Hello read write, hello read append. So this is the read append, and after that, let's add something like this and this. Hello read append in Python. Then I have the seek over here, then the content for reading and the content. If I come and select this and comment it out like this and use the read to read the data and print it out, then close the file. So open and the close and the codes. First for writing or appending in it, and second for reading the data back. Now right click over here, and as I told you, currently we haven't this file over here, and my A+ will create the file if it doesn't exist. So let's get inside the pie chart over here, and currently I have the write to write and the read. Right click over here and run. Without any problem, my code are executed, and after that the new file, the info RA, is generated automatically, and this is the inside of my file. Now if I come and read Append, click on it and run my application for the next time. So get inside the info RA and click on it. My new text is appended at the end of my text file without deleting the previous text and values inside the text file. This is like the previous append mode as I told you. So it's really simple and it's straightforward. But I can see the results of reading the file in my console. As I told you in my previous tutorial, we need to put the current position of the file to the beginning, because currently I'm using the write, and after it the current position of the file is changed. So I need to change it back to the beginning, and I use the myfile.seek and the start position. So if I right click over here and run, now I have the great result over here. This is my first one up to the end. So come over here and open it back. Now I have all of this in it. And also I can come to this one and add the escape characters over here. So my text will be added inside the new line. Now right click over here and run. I have something like this and this. So it's working perfectly. And don't forget to use the seek to change the current position of your file to the beginning. And this is a really tricky note. And like my previous tutorial, we need to open the file only one time here and close it only one time, because this file mode is read and append. So we can easily read and append the text by the write and the read. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now my mission for working with the different modes of the open file is completed successfully. So far we learned a lot of tips and tricks for working with the files like read, write, append, create, and so on. And it's time to talk about how we can delete and rename the files. It's time consuming, so let's talk about it in my upcoming tutorials. Now it's your turn. Go ahead and start working with the A+ to read and append the text file, and stay with me with my great upcoming tutorial. Thanks for your time. Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I want to talk about how to protect the text files in your project from the unauthorized users, and also how to change the folder of your text files and add all of them inside another folders and get access to them from your project. So let's do it. So far I talked about many great tips and tricks for working with the read, write, append, create, and many other operations in the text file. But by default I'm using the txt extension for saving the information, and it's not really great idea and secure method for saving the important and the critical data. Suppose this is my info, and if I come over here and if I come to the Open in Explorer, so it is the txt file and everyone can click on it and open that with the Notepad or any other text editor applications. So this extension, the txt, is not great and secure for the important information and the data. So it's time to secure the data. There's many different methods, but let's talk about the most simple one, and it is changing the extension. So it is the info.txt. Currently I have the Explorer, so let's leave it. Come to the project. So I have the info.txt over here, and if I come to the read.py, I use the info only in the read.py for reading the data from it. So I need to change the .txt inside the read.py file, and also I need to change it over here, the info.txt. I can use the different extensions. For better understanding, let's come over here. This is my info file. Copy and this over here. So this is, and let's try change it to the another extension like the MP3. So this is the audio, and yes, wow, what happened? The icon or the default application for opening this file is changed. So right click on it and open with, and suppose I want to open with the player, and this is my classic media player, and I got this error. Why? Because this is not the valid MP3 file. Or even if I come over here and open it with the media player, so another error message, and without anything, I have this message box. So this is the single step and the simple method for protecting the codes, changing the extension. Also, you can change it to anything that you want. For instance, I can change it to the DLL. And DLL stands for Dynamic Link Library. It is the system file or a kind of the code base file for the programmers in the C#, C++, and all the programming languages. So we can use the DLL, or as I told you, we can use the MP3 or WMV, Windows Media Player. So do you want? Yes, and the result is something like this. And if I open it with the player like the Windows Media Player, so I got this error. The Windows Media Player can't play this file. So we can use the extension and change it to protect the codes easily and quickly. Now let's change it back to the txt, and this is the result. Now let's secure the file inside the project. So come over here, come to this one, and currently I have the info copy, so I don't need it. Right click on it and delete this file. And do you want to delete every references inside your codes? Yes, delete that, because I didn't use this file anywhere inside my project. Then I have the info.txt, and as I told you, we need to change this txt extension here and everywhere inside my project. Fortunately, I'm using the info.txt only inside the read.py file. But if I use the info.txt many times in my project, it's really difficult to change the name everywhere in my project. Fortunately, the PyCharm has really great refactoring option. So come over here. This is the info.txt. Right click on it, come to the refactor and the rename. Now let's select this and change it to MP3, for instance, MP3. And here I have two options to search everywhere in your project and change the extension inside your codes to the new and updated extension. And this is the scope or the location to search and find this one. Let's leave all of this by default and refactor. Refactor means search and rename. So this is automatically the PyCharm changed this name to MP3. After that, everywhere on my project. So it's time to use it. Right click over here and run. Congratulations, now I can get access to everything inside my file easily inside the console. So the extension is not important matter for the Python to read the content of the file. Now if I double click on this file, so I can see the content of my text file without any problem. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we know how to secure the file in the Python and its content. And what about the next step? In the next step, I'll talk about how to change the directory or folder of your text files and get access to them from your Python code. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about how we can change the folder or the directory of your files and get access to them from your Python file. Currently, I'm using the same directory like my Python files for the text files. Also, I can add these files for better grouping inside another folders. This is my file, and if I right click on it, new and directory. Let's add the data. This is my favorite grouping and foldering. So I have the data beside my Python files, and I can put all of these files inside the data one by one. For instance, this is my info.mp3 and its location is beside my read.py. So I can easily use the file name plus extension to read the content of it. And if I select this and drag and drop inside the data, you can see this window, the move window. So I have the search for references, and by default it is checked. And it means that hello PyCharm, please search everywhere for my file, and its name is info.mp3, and change the file path if I use it inside my code. So refactor, and if I come to the data, I have the file inside it. And if I come to the read, wow, what happened? The data is automatically added over here by the PyCharm. So it means that my file is inside the data, and you can see the data folder over here, and it is beside my Python file, beside the read.py. After that, I have the slash and the info.mp3. So I can right click over here and run. Without any problem, I have the content over here. But let's try the wrong file name. So come to this and add another wrong X. So currently I haven't this file inside the data and over here. So if I come to this and run, this is the result, file not found error. So it means that currently the Python recognized this file and the Python is reading the data from this file. So it's working perfectly. Now come over here and run. So it's done. And also I can use other files like the info2, info3 and all of this inside the data. So select this and put it inside the data. Do you want to refactor? Yes. Change everything. And the next one is info3, put it inside the data. And also info4, put it inside the data. And also the RA, put it, and the RW, put it inside this and refactor. Also, I can select all of this. So this is the result. I haven't anything over here, and I close every window. Now I put all of my files inside the data folder, and it is like the professional applications. So what about the other files like the info RA? The info RA belongs to read and append. So this is, if I click on the read and append, the PyCharm automatically change the file name to the data and info up to the end. So I can easily start working with it and right click on it, run. Without any problem, I have the correct result. And this is the power of the PyCharm for refactoring the location of the file. And what about the folder outside of my PyCharm file? For instance, if I come to the hello world and add the new folder like this and name it test, for instance. So I have the test here and it is outside of the intern folder. And indeed it is in the root of my project. But if I come to the intern, click on it, and after that open the read. So the read needs the info.mp3. Come to the data and select the info.mp3 and put it inside the test. So this is, do you want to refactor? It means, do you want to update the path? Yes, do it. So if I come to the read one more time, wow, what happened? Currently I have another path. So I have some dots here and the slashes up to the end. Indeed, this is the location for the file if it is outside of the current folder of your Python file. And this is the method for changing it automatically without writing it manually. And this is my method. Never I spend my time to change this manually because it's really time consuming and needs a lot of time and effort to change it to the correct values. So let's set it back and come to the test, select this and put it back inside the data and refactor. So if I come to the read, it's done to the correct folder. Now let's select the test, right click on it and delete that. And do you want to delete? Yes, delete that. Congratulations, everything is done. Now we learned how to protect the files and the information inside it, and also how to change the folder of your text files. So it's certain going to start working with these great tips and tricks and stay with me with my great upcoming tutorial. Thanks for your time. Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I want to talk about how to start working with the first part of the advanced file functions using the OS module, and it is check if the file exists or not. So let's do it. First, I talked about how to work with the files in the Python to read, write, append, and many other operations. As I told you, we have some other operations and functions like the delete, rename, and so on that we can't use these steps. And instead of that, we can use another code and modules. And it is the OS module. In the OS module, we can start working with the functions that are related to the operating system. So the OS module in the Python provides functions for interacting with the operating system. And in this video, I want to talk about how to use the OS module to check if the file exists. Later, I'll talk about how to rename the file and delete the file. So let's get started. Before doing anything, let's take a quick look at the OS module and search the OS module in Python. As I told you, the OS module in Python provides functionalities for interacting with the operating system. And it is built in so we can easily use it directly inside the PyCharm. And if I take a look, the OS is really big module. Indeed, the OS has many different functions and methods. You can see it over here up to the end. So we don't need to memorize all of these. And the only thing we need is learning how to work with the most common and practical functions and methods in the OS module. So my intention is talking about how to use the OS to check if the file exists, rename the file, and delete the file in this section. Let's do it. Come over here and come to this one. This is my file. Right click on it, new, and the Python file. I want to check if the file exists or not. So let's write file exists and press enter. Inside the file exists, at the first step, I need to import the OS. Previously, I talked about the import and how to work with it and the OS. Also, I can use the as and write the new name, for instance, my OS, or anything that you want. But personally, I prefer to use the default name. Let's do it from scratch, and this is the OS. Let's delete this part and write it from scratch. So this is my OS, and you can see it over here. Now it's time to use the OS. As I told you, we need to write the OS dot. In this list, you can see different functions and methods and properties for working with the OS and indeed with the operating system. So if I want to check the existence of the file, we can easily get access to it with the path. So click on it, then add dot, and here I can see different functions for working with the path. And I want to check if the file exists or not. So this is the exist. Click on it. And inside the exist, I need to write my file name. That's I want to check it. And this method has the return value. And you can see its return value over here. It is the Boolean. So true or false. And if the file exists in the directory that I assign it over here, then the return value is true. And if the file doesn't exist, then the return value is false. So I can define the new variable and assign it over here. And after that, suppose I want to check if the file exists or not. Currently I have the data, and inside it I have the info.mp3. Let's check if the info.mp3 exists or not. Also, I can use another file name, no matter, and no problem. So this is my data folder. Don't forget to add the data here. Then add the slash, and after that the file name info.mp3. So the result will be assigned to the R, and the R is Boolean. I can easily use the if structure, as I told you previously, to check if the R equals to true or not. The R is Boolean, so it has two values, true or false. If the R is true, then print what? Print the file exists. And after that I can come to the next line and add the else structure and print the next one and say the file doesn't exist or not found. So this is not found. Now if I right click over here and run for the first time, the file exists. Which file? This file, the data and the info. If I change the extension, for instance this, currently I haven't such file inside my data folder. So if I run, not found. It means everything is working perfectly. Also, if you want to check the file beside your Python file, you don't need to use the data. You can easily select this and delete. And after that, suppose I want to check if the read.py is exists or not. So let's write read.py. So if I run, the file exists, and this is the read.py. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we know how to check if the file exists or not. After learning how to check if the file exists or not, there is a simple question. Can you show us the real world usage of the file exists checker or not? Yes, of course. For better understanding, let's take a quick look at the create. This is the create, and as I told you, we can use the open with the X, and it means to create this file. And previously I talked about how to create the file, and currently I want to create the info4.txt, and currently I have it over here. So if I click on it, it is something like this. And as I told you, if your file exists in your folder, then we'll get the error. So right click over here and run. Wow, what happened? The file exists error. So this is the file exists error and the info4.txt. For preventing such errors, we can easily use the exists checker. So I can come to this one, and after that come over here and check if this file exists or not. If the file exists, so leave it, and if the file doesn't exist, then create that. So let's write import os, then add some comment and say the os.path and exist. Exist what? Exist this file. So let's copy and paste over here. So don't forget to add the double quotations. Now I can assign the return value to the new variable like the R, as I told you over here. So it's time to use the if structure. To start my tutorial, let's copy this part and paste over here and say if the file exists, do nothing or print this one, and if the file doesn't exist, then create the file. So let's cut this and come over here and paste over here. Now let's take a quick look at the logic of my code. At the beginning I have the import to import the OS, then I'll check if the file exists over here or not. If the file exists, then print the file exists, and if the file doesn't exist, in the else structure, open the file and create it with this file mode, then close the file. So currently I have the file is available over here inside the data folder. Now right click over here and run. So the file exists. It means everything is done. Now my code is completely protected. So if I come over here, now right click on the info4 and delete the file. Do you want to delete? Yes, delete that. Click OK. do you want to delete? And in this window, I have this error. The file info.txt has 2 usages that aren't safe to delete. Currently, I'm using this file 2 times in my codes. This is the meaning of the message. So you can see the usages. By using the view usages, click on it, and I have the potentially unsaved, and you can see the usages over here in the create.py in this file, and line 3 and line 7. This is line 3 and the line 7. So let's come over here and come to this one, right click on it and delete the file. Do you want? Yes, and delete anyway. So my file is completely deleted. Now right click over here and run. So everything is done. Currently I didn't have any message boxes over here, so I can add some message boxes after creating the file. Now let's come to this one and print and say file is created. So come over here, and this is my info4 file, and right click on it and delete the file for the next time and delete anyway. Now right click over here, run. So the file is created, and if I run the application for the second time, so the file exists, and it means my code is completely protected. And this is the real world usage of the file exists checker. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned many great tips and tricks for working with the file exists checker. So it's your turn. Go ahead and start writing the code to check if the file exists or not, and stay with me with my great upcoming tutorial. Thanks for your time. Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I want to talk about how to easily rename the file with the OS module and the Python code. So let's do it. First, I talked about how to use the OS module to check if the file exists or not. In this video I want to talk about how to rename the file. Also, for better result, I'll show you how to combine the file checker with the rename file. So let's do it. Come over here and come to this one and the file. Right click on it, add new Python file. So let's name it, for instance, the rename, and press enter. At the beginning, let's import the OS like my previous tutorial, and after that add some comments. So let's write OS, and after that the rename. Previously I talked about the path and how to work with it. In this video I want to rename the file. So this is the rename. In the rename we have many different parameters, but the most common is the source and the destination. So I have the source file that I want to rename it, then the target name or the destination. So click over here, and inside the rename let's use 2 main parameters. First the source file, then the target file name. So come over here, and suppose I want to rename the file. Currently I have all of these files. Let's add the new file, and this is the file, and name it, for instance, the test.txt or any other extensions. Now I have the test inside the data and beside my file. So where is the rename? This is my rename. Click on it. Now let's rename the file. So my file is inside the data and its name is test.txt. Now let's write the source file that I wanna rename it. It is inside the data and its name is text.txt. So this is the text and .txt, the autocomplete. And after that add comma and the new name for my file. Suppose I want to change the name to the test new or new test. So let's copy this part and the destination name. And let's name it, for instance, the test underscore new or the test new. This is my new name and my current name. Now I have the file over here and the new name here. Right click on this and rename. So nothing happened over here because I didn't write anything to show. So if I take a look at my file name, it's successfully changed to the new name, test new. So you can see it over here. Now if I run my application for the second time, so let's see the reaction of the Python. File not found error. Why? Because I want to change this name to this name. But currently I haven't the test.txt over here because we renamed it in my previous execution. So the system can't find the file over here. And as I told you previously, we have the file access checker in the OS module. So we can add the file access checker to my code before renaming it. And if this file exists, then rename it. And if this file doesn't exist, show the message to my user. So before renaming it, I need to add the if structure and add the file access checker. To start my tutorial, come to the file access. Indeed, this one. Previously I talked about this. And currently I assume you watched my previous tutorial. So copy and paste over here. So if my file exists, which file? I need to copy this one and paste over here. If my file exists, so we need to rename it. Now let's cut this one and paste it inside the if structure. And if my file doesn't exist, show the message to user, print not found. Now let's right click over here and run. So this time instead of the error, I have the great and amazing message not found. And also if I come to this and right click on it, and after that refactor and the rename. Let's rename it to the original name and the test.txt. So refactor and it's done. So I have the test file that I want to check if it exists or not. After refactoring, the second name or the target name is changed and replaced to the default one. So let's name it for the second time and the test no. Now I have the file over here, and indeed after running this code, this condition will be true. So rename the file, then go out of the code. And also I can come to this one and add another one and say print what? Renamed. Or it's done. And let's see. So come over here and run. So it's done. It means my file is successfully renamed. So I have the new name over here. And also if I run my application for the second time, not found. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we know how to successfully rename the file with many great tips and tricks and also this great and amazing guard. So it's certain going to start working with the rename method and stay with me with my amazing upcoming tutorial. And it is how to delete the file. Stay with me. Thanks for your time. Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I want to talk about how to easily write the Python code to delete the file by the OS module. So let's get started. Till now I talked about how to check if the file exists and also how to rename the file. Finally I want to talk about how to delete the file. So let's do it. Come over here and come to the PyCharm. This is my file. Come to the new and the Python file. Name it delete. Delete what? Delete the file. So this is delete the file. The structure of the delete is something like the rename. So this is my rename. Where are you? Rename. This is. To start my tutorial, let's copy all of these codes. Come to the delete and paste over here. Suppose I want to delete the test no, and this is the test no. Or even I can change the file and I can come to this and add the new file. Let's name it, for instance, test del or delete txt. So this is, press enter. Now I have the test del.txt and I want to delete that. So come to this one and I have the OS, as I told you previously, import that. Then check if the file exists or not. Which file? The file to be deleted, and it is the test del. So test and the del. And after that, if the file exists, then delete that and say print it's done. And after that, if the file doesn't exist, say file not found. But currently I have the rename. Instead of the rename, I can say the remove. By using the remove, I can easily delete the file by a single parameter, and it is the path of the file. So click on this, and after that the file to be deleted, and this is the file name to be deleted, and I need to use this one, testdel, and this is the testdel.txt. Then print it's done. Now if I right click over here and run, so it's done. Now my file is deleted successfully, and if I right click on this and run, so not found, and it means everything is done. So if I run it one more time, then not found. And as I told you previously, if you want to create the file, you can do it with different methods. First, you can add it manually over here, and after that you can use the write method to create the file, but I don't want to do it. So right click over here, the file, and name it the testdel.txt, and press enter. Now I have the file, and you can see it over here. So let's delete that and come over here, and it's done. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we know how to delete the file by using the OS module. It's really amazing and great, and also one of the most practical codes between the Python programmer. So we learned many great tips and tricks about file checker, rename, and deleting of the files. So my mission is completed successfully, and we learned many great tips and tricks for working with the files. So it's I'm going to start writing the Python code to delete your file. And remember, if you got any unexpected errors, don't be disappointed. Just focus on your learning and try the different codes and different methods. Indeed, if you ask me, hey Mr. Musavi, what is the main key to become the great and professional programmer? My answer is effort, effort, and effort. And I'm telling this to you after more than 2 decades of experiences in the different programming languages. So don't forget this really tricky note. With the best wishes. Thanks for your time. Hello and welcome. In this video, I want to talk about how to start working with the advanced folder functions by the OS module, including to check if the folder exists or not, create the folder, rename a folder, and finally delete the folder in the Python code. So let's do it. First, I talked about something like this, but with the files. So let's get started working with the folders. At the beginning, I need to check if the folder exists or not. To do that, we need to use the OS, then the path, and the exists. And also, we need to assign the folder name. And as I told you in my previous tutorial, we can use the same code to check if the file exists or not. So this code is common between the file and the folder to check if the file or folder exists or not. To do that, come over here and come to the file. This is the interim and the file folder. So I can add the new folder. To do that, come over here, new, and the directory. Let's name it folder. And inside it, I can start working. So add new and the Python file and say folders, folder functions. So this is the folder functions and press enter. Now my Python is ready for me to start working with it. So at the first step, I can easily import the OS. So this is the OS and great. And after that, let's add some comment. Now it's time to start working with the OS. So os.path, this is the path dot. In this list, I can see the different functions and properties for working with the path. And I want to check if the folder exists or not. So I have the exists, like the files over here. And inside it, I need to write my folder name. So this is the double quotations. We have something like this in my previous tutorial. So we can get access to it. To explore my tutorial, come to the file, then the file exists, and this is the result. So let's copy all of this to stop my tutorial and come to the folder functions and replace it with this one. I have the import over here, then the exists, but instead of the file name, I can write my folder name. So I have the folder and it is folders, I can add another one, and let's add the data, for instance. This is the data, and also I can use the uppercase D and press enter. Now I have the data, and I want to check if the data exists or not. So the data is beside my Python file. As the result, I don't need to assign anything, and the only thing I need is using the data. Where? Over here exactly. So let's write the data. And if I hover on the exists, the return value of the exists is Boolean, true or the false. True means the folder exists, and the false means the folder doesn't exist. So I have the if structure. If the R equals true, then say the folder exists. And this is, let's select the folder exists and folder not found. So let's come over here and say the folder not found. And this is the folder not found, and the folder exists. So right click over here and run. The folder exists. And if I hover on this and right click, then open in the Explorer. So currently I have the Python file, and beside it I have the data folder. So by using this line of the code, I can see if the folder exists or not beside the Python file. Also, I can add another folder inside the data, for instance, the pics, and come over here and add something like the pics. It stands for pictures. Suppose I want to check if the pics exist or not. Don't forget to add the slash, then the pics, and this is the pics. So if I right click and run, now the folder exists. Also, if I change the name, for instance, pics1, currently I haven't the pics1. So run my application, the folder not found. It means everything is working perfectly. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learn how to check if the folder exists or not. And what about the next step? In the next step, I'll talk about how to create the folder. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about how we can create the folder using the OS module in the Python. So let's do it. First, I talked about how to check if the folder exists or not. Let's talk about how we can create the folder. To do that, I have the OS, then the mkdir. Mkdir stands for make directory or create the directory, and it has only one parameter, and it is the folder name. So let's do it. Come over here and come to this one, and I have the folder functions. So I can use the folder functions and write my code inside it, but it's better to add another Python file. So come to the folders, new, and the Python file. I want to create the folder. So let's say create folder, and this is the result. And at the beginning, I can import the OS as I told you. So this is the OS and press enter. Now add some comment, and after that the OS dots. In this place I need to use the mkdir. So this is my mkdir, click on it, and inside it I need to assign my folder path. Suppose I want to create my folder beside the create folder file. So let's say, for instance, the audio. So this is the audio, and I want to create it beside my Python file. So right click over here and run. Congratulations, the audio is generated and created successfully over here. And if I right click on it and open in the Explorer, and the audio folder is created inside my Windows drive. So it's really amazing and great. And suppose I want to create the audio inside the data folder. To do that, come over here, and before the audio, let's write the data and add the slash, then the audio. So if I right click over here and run, now the audio is generated inside the data. Exactly, I have the same structure over here, the data and the audio. So currently I created the audio, and if I want to create it again for the second time, come to the run. Wow, what happened? The file exists error, and can't create the file when the file already exists. Indeed, the audio. So if you want to create the folder while you have it, then the result is the error. Can't create and the file already exists. Indeed, the file means the folder over here. And as I told you previously, we can easily prevent these errors by checking if the folder exists or not. To do that, come over here. And previously I talked about how to check if the folder exists or not. So to explain my tutorial, come inside the folder functions and copy this part of the code. Come to the create folder and paste it inside it. Before doing anything, let's check the folder if exists or not. Then if the folder exists, print the folder exists and do nothing. And if the folder doesn't exist, create it. How? Easily. Cut this and paste over here. And after creating the folder, say the folder is created or done. Folder is created. Or anything that you want. So let's check everything from scratch. At the first time I have the import, then check if the folder exists or not. If the folder exists, print the folder exists and do nothing, go to the end. And if my folder doesn't exist, first create it, then print the folder is created. Currently I have the audio inside the data. This is the audio and the data. So if I right click and run, and the folder exists. So I protected my code against the errors. And also if I come to the next one and say audio 1, and let's see. So come over here and run. Now the folder is created and I have the audio 1 over here. Now if I run my project one more time, the folder exists. And if I change it to audio 2 and this one over here, so run it for the first time, the folder is created and I have the audio 2, and also for the second time the folder exists. Indeed, we can easily manage my folders and we can easily check if the folder exists or not, and also create the folders by the Python code. And this is really amazing and great. Congratulations, we did it. Now we know how to create the folder easily and quickly using the Python file. So let's select all of this and delete. And do you want to delete? Yes. So I have only the audio over here. Congratulations, my mission is done. Now it's time to talk about the next step, how to rename the folder. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to rename the folder with the Python. So let's do it. Sometimes we need to rename the folder name after creating it. For instance, if I come to the data, currently I have the audio and pics. Suppose I want to change the name of the audio or the pics or even the data itself. Then we need to use the OS. Let's see the structure of it. Come over here. If we want to rename the folder, we need to use the OS, then the rename. Then we have the source and the target. The source is the name of my folder that I want to change the name of it. And the target is the new name for my folder. So let's use it in the action. Come over here and come to the folders and inside it add new and the Python file. So let's write rename and press enter. At the beginning, I need to import the OS like my previous tutorials, and this is the result. Add some comments, and after that the OS dot and the rename. So I have the rename over here. Click on it. The first one is source and the next one is destination. So click on it and this is the source, and after that add comma, and the second one is the target. Now let's use it. Currently I have the audio inside the data. Let's rename the audio to audio 1 for instance. So let's write the source and the data, and after that slash and the audio. This is the audio. Then we need to write the new name over here. Let's copy this and paste over here. Name it audio 1. So right click over here and the run. So everything is done. Now my audio is changed to the audio 1 over here inside my project and also inside my Explorer. So the data, click on it and the audio 1. It means my mission is completed successfully. This was a really simple procedure for renaming the folder. Now my folder is audio 1 And if I want to run my application for the second time, let's see the reaction of the Python. So this is the file not found error. The system can't find the file. The file means the folder indeed, the data audio. So the Python can't find the data audio. And this is the audio, but I haven't the audio inside the data. So at the top, I have the audio. Let's right click on it and delete that to prevent the errors, and great. Now I have only one audio one inside the data, but I can't find the audio because my source folder is audio, but I haven't inside the data. As the result, I got this error. For preventing something like this error, we can easily check if the folder exists or not. First, I talked about it and come to the create folder, and this is, so let's copy to my tutorial and get inside the rename. This is over here exactly. Before doing anything, I want to check if the folder exists or not. Then if the folder exists, I can rename it, and if the folder doesn't exist, I can show the message to my user. So I have the audio one, and this is the audio one inside the data. And I can check if the audio one exists or not. If the folder exists, I can rename it. So this is code and paste over here. After renaming the folder, let's show a message to my user and say it's done. So it's done. And if my folder doesn't exist, show another message and say the folder not found. So come over here and say folder not found. Now let's check everything from scratch. At the top, I have the import. Then I can check the folders if my folder exists or not. So if the folder exists, easily rename it, then show it's done. And if my folder doesn't exist, show this message, folder not found. So let's come over here, and at the top I have the audio one, and I want to change the audio one to the audio. This is the destination and the source folder. So right click over here and run. And it's done. It means I have the audio one over here, and I successfully changed the audio one to the audio. Also, I have the same result inside my data folder over here in my folder explorer. So suppose I want to run the code for the second time. Come over here and run. The folder not found. So the audio one doesn't exist inside the data. I can change it to the audio, this one, and say the audio, the source one. I want to change it to the audio one. So run my application. It's done, and now I have the audio one. And if I run my application for the second time, folder not found, because I want to change the audio to the audio one, and currently I haven't the audio over here. So I can change it to audio one more time and say change the audio one to the audio to reset everything to the default values. Now if I run, so the audio one changed to the audio, and it's done. Now if I run my application for the second time, folder not found. Congratulations, we did it. Now we know how to successfully rename the folder name in the Python. And what about the last step? The last step is deleting the folder. It's time consuming, so let's talk about it in the next tutorial. Stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about how we can delete the folder using the OS and the Python code. To do that, I can use the OS, then rmdir, and after that, the folder name to be removed. The rmdir stands for remove directory or remove the folder. So let's use it in the action. Come over here and come to this one, the folders, right click on it, new, and the Python file, and name it the remove. So this is the remove or remove folder, no matter. And after that, I can import the OS like previous tutorial, and this is the OS, add some comments. Now let's write the os dot rm, and this is the rmdir. The only thing you need to assign is the folder path or the location of your folder that you want to remove it. Currently, I have the audio over here inside the data. So I want to delete that. I can do it easily. Come over here and say the data, add a slash and the audio. This is the audio. And if I right click over here and run, so the folder successfully is deleted and I can see the result over here inside the Explorer. I haven't the audio over here. And after that, if I run my code for the second time and let's see the reaction of the Python, the file not found. Indeed, this is the folder not found. The system can't find the folder and this is my folder. And we can easily protect the codes against this error using the file checker. Previously I talked about it many times, so I can come to the create folder and copy the code, come to the remove and paste it over here. So at the top I need to check if the folder exists or not. Which folder? The audio folder. If the folder exists, then delete that. So let's select this and paste it over here. So the OS RMDIR and delete this folder. Then we can show the message box to my user and let's copy this and paste over here and say the folder is deleted. Then if my folder doesn't exist, show the message to my user and say folder not found or not found, folder not found. And this is the folder not found. So let's see everything from scratch. At the top I have the import, then check if the folder exists or not. If the folder exists, delete that and show this message to my user. Folder is deleted. And if my folder doesn't exist, say the folder not found. Currently I haven't the audio inside the data. So right click over here and run. Folder not found. Let's create the folder for the next time. Come to the data, inside it, the directory, and let's create the audio. This is the audio. Now I have the audio inside the data and exactly over here. So let's delete that. Right click over here, run. Now the folder is deleted. And actually I deleted the folder. And if I run the folder for the second time, folder not found. Okay, excellent. Congratulations. Now everything is working perfectly. So in this video, we learned many great tips and tricks and also the practical functions for working with the folders in the Python using the OS module. You know what? Indeed, there is many other functions in the OS module. But as I told you, we don't need to memorize everything and we don't need to learn every functions inside the OS module. Instead of that, I'll try to teach you the most common and the most practical functions that we need to work with them. So we talked about how to check if the folder exists, how to create the folder, how to rename, and how to delete the folder. And as I told you many times previously, the main key to become the successful programmer in the Python or other programming languages is your effort. So you need to be like the water. Just keep moving forward and do your best. With the best wishes. Thanks for your time. Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to create the project for working with the files and folders, and it is the customer info project. We can use this project to save the customer information in the text file, then search the customers by the ID. So it is a really practical project, and indeed I'll talk about the different parts of the Python to create it. So suppose we have some customers or some staff, no matter. Then we want to save the information of the customers inside the text file. And after that, we want to load the data or search the data by the ID. Then we can use the Python to create something like this project. So let's talk about the main parts of my project. Here we have two main parts. The first one is saving the customer data, then searching the customer data. So the structure of this project is really simple and straightforward. Saving the data, loading the data or searching the data. For better understanding, I created this diagram. At the first step, we need to create the folder to save the customer information inside it. And also I have one dedicated text file for each customer. So for the customer with the ID 1, I should create the info_1.ptx. Indeed, the ptx is for the security reason, as I told you previously, and it is the txt file. And for my second customer with the ID 2, I should create the info_2.ptx. For the next one, info 3 up to the info n.ptx. And all of these customers are inside the data folder or any other folders. So I should create one text file for each customer. And inside each file, we have something like this structure. The ID equals 4, the name equal to the Sarah Parker, for instance, or any other names. Then the gender is the female, and the cell number is something like this. Also, we can add another type or another part of the information, like the address, postal code, job, the father name, date of birth, and many other information based on your needs. But this is the tutorial. As the result, I want to create something like this: the ID, name, gender, and the cell number. And also I have the file name, and the format of it is something like this: the info underscore, and this is the common part of the file name. Then the customer ID, and currently I have the incremental customer ID is starting from the 1. So it is something like info 1, info 2 up to the end. After that, we have the extension that we can add the txt, but for more secure method, I prefer to use the ptx, as I told you in my previous tutorials, how to increase the security of your data by changing the extension. And we have something like this: the info_4.ptx. So we have the folder, and inside it I have the dedicated files for each customer. And inside each file, we have the dedicated information inside it with this format. And I have the format for the naming of my files like this. Now it's time to start working with my project. With the first step, how to save the customer data. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. Now it's time to talk about how we can save the customer data and how to save all of them inside the data folder by this structure. So let's do it. Come over here and say hello PyCharm, and this is my hello world and the interim. Inside it I have the file and folders. So right click on the interim and new and the directory. I want to create the project. So this is the project, and after that right click on it, new, and another directory, and name it customer info or anything that you want. So I have the customer info, and as I told you, the customer info has two main parts: saving the data and the searching data. So come over here and start working with the saving data. Come to the new and the Python file, and name it save data or save cu data. Cu stands for customer. Now I have the save cu data, and inside it I need to write my codes. At the top, and before doing anything, we need to create the file. To do that, previously I talked about how to open the file in the Python. And it has three main steps: opening the file, then executing the file functions like read, write up to the end, and after that closing the file. And this is the steps for working with the files. So come over here, and before opening the file, I need to get the data of the customer. And before doing anything at the beginning, we need to get the information of the customers. And as I told you, we have the different data: the ID, the name, gender, and the cell number. After getting all of this from the user, we can save it inside the text file. So don't worry about anything and just focus on the tutorial. So come over here and let's say input what? Input the, please enter the customer ID So I have the please enter the customer ID, and all of this should be assigned to another variable like the ID, for instance, or the CUID, customer ID. Everything is optional, and I can write, for instance, CUID and use the uppercase ID as I told you in the variable naming. So right click over here and run. Now please enter the customer ID, for instance, the 25. So press enter. Now I have the CUID. After that, we need to get the data one by one, the name, the gender, and the cell number. So come over here and to stop my tutorial, copy this part and paste over here. The next one is the name or the full name. And this is the full name or CU name. And this is the CU name. And after that, I have the next part, and it is the gender. So this is the gender. Where are you? This is the gender and CU gender. And finally, I have the cell number. So this is the cell or cell number, no matter, and the CU cell. Now I have the CUID, the name, the gender, and the CU cell. So if I run the application for the second time, please enter the ID, for instance, 1. Please enter the customer full name, for instance, Sarah. Then please enter the customer gender, the male or female. And finally, please enter the customer cell, for instance, like this, and press enter. Now I have all of the information to be saved inside the text file. And after that, I need to assign and create the file name. To do that, we need to open the file, as I told you previously, using the open method and the appropriate mode, as I told you in my previous tutorials. Then execute the read or write operations, and finally close the file. At the first step, we need to create and generate the file name by the ID of my customer. So we need to use the info underscore the customer ID and PTX, and it is the file name. So come over here and say the file name equals to what? Equals to the info. And remember, you can use another system for naming your files. Currently, I prefer to use the info underscore, and also you can use, for instance, the CU underscore or anything that you want. Then add plus, and after that, I need to the customer ID. As I told you in my previous tutorials, the result of the input is a string. So the ID over here is the string. As the result, I can add it directly with the info. And let's write the CUID. And this is. And finally, we need to add the extension. For instance, you can use the .txt, but it's not really secure one. So I prefer to use another name, for instance, the PTX or DLL or MP3. PTX. Now I have the file name, and let's see the results by printing it. And this is the file name and the file name over here. So run my application for the second time, and this is, and leave this. So I have the info12.ptx. Now my file name is ready for me, but the next step is saving the data one by one inside it. It's really simple and straightforward. So at the beginning, we need to open the file with the file name, and I want to write the data inside it. So I can use the W for the file mode. Now come over here, and at the next step, come to this one and say open. Open what? Open my file, and my file is file name. So this is my file name, and I want to write the data and create the file. So the best option is W, and the W will create the file if the file doesn't exist. Then I start writing inside it. So this is the F, for instance, my return file. Now it's time to write the data. So write the F dot and the write. This is the write, and write what? Write, for instance, sample data or anything that we want. Indeed, we need to generate this information, then put it inside the write method over here. I'll talk about it later. And finally, I need to close the file. So this is the close. Now it's time to create the data. We can do it easily over here at the top or inside the open and or here. It's not important matter the order of the codes. We can do it here. And let's write generate customer data or anything that you want. So let's put it over here. So let's create the CU data and say CU data and equals to what? At the first step, we need to create the ID equals to the ID. So let's come to this one and say the ID equals to what? Equals to the ID. But I can use the if string over here for faster result and say the curly braces and my CU ID. Let's auto this one and use the CU ID over here. Now the ID equals to CU ID. Then we need to add the new line and create the name. So we can use the escape characters as I told you in my previous tutorial and say something like this, the \n. As I mentioned previously, if you want to create the new line, you can directly use the \n and it is the escape character. And after that, we need to use the second one and it is the name equals. So let's write the name equals to what? Equals to my CU name. So this is my CU name and paste over here. Then I need to add another line and this is the next line. And the next part is the gender. So we have the gender and let's see, come over here and write the gender and equals. And I have the CU gender, so let's put it over here exactly. But don't forget to add the curly braces and inside it. And after that, I have the last line. So let's add another \n or the escape character for the new line, and it is the cell number. So come over here and write the cell number. This is the cell number. And the C is uppercase and also the N is uppercase. This is my own rule. You can use any type of naming for yourself. For instance, you can use the cell number with the lowercase c and n. And also you can use the lowercase for the gender or anything that you want. So all of these are optional. And finally, I need to add the curly braces and the CU cell. So copy this and paste over here. Now I have the CU data and the name, the gender, and the cell number. I can easily print the result and it's a really great option for checking the progress of the project. So I have the print CU data. Now if I right click over here and run, so press the ID 12, the Sarah, then the gender, the female for instance, or F, then the customer cell, and I have something like this. This is my file name, the ID, the name, the gender, and the cell number. But we need to add the equals over here. So let's check it. And here in it. Let's add the next one. You know what? Something like this are the amazing part of the programmers. If you forgot to write anything, you can easily find the location of your errors by printing it like this. Then you can find the location of your error and correct that like this one, for instance. Now if I right click over here for the next time and run, write something like this, and the name is MJ this time, and the gender is F, and the cell number. So I have the gender, cell number, name, and the ID. So let's check the ID, and this is the lowercase. Also, you can use the uppercase for the ID. It's not important matter. Okay, excellent. Congratulations. Now my file data is generated automatically, and I have the CU data. In the next step, I can easily copy the CU data and paste it over here inside the F, and this is. Also, I have the file name, and currently my file name is something like this. But as I told you, it's better to create the data, then put my customer files inside the data folder. Currently, if I run the application, this file will be created beside my Python file. So I have the save SEO data, and beside it I have the info 12 and info 122. So if I click on it, it is sample data, and the next one is sample data. But personally, I prefer to put the files inside the dedicated folder. So come over here, right click on it, new, and the directory. You can name it the data or the info or anything that you want. So I have the data. Now let's select my generated files, right click, and I want to delete all of this. So let's delete and delete. Now if you want to save the files inside the data, you need to add it to your file name. So this is my file name, and like this, and add to what? Add to the file name. Now it's time to write the data. This is my folder name, and you can see it over here, and the slash, then the file name. So right click over here and run, and this time is the, for instance, this one, and the MJ, and the gender, and also this number, and press enter. So inside the data, my file is generated, info 222, exactly like this. And after that, the PTX. So I have the PTX, and if I click on it, my ID, the name, and the gender, and also the cell number. Let's check it with my image and put it over here. So the ID, you can see it over here, the name, the gender, and finally the cell number, exactly like this. And it seems everything is working perfectly. So my first step for creating and saving the data is done, and I could successfully save the customer data. And what about the next one? I can easily run the application for the next time and add another ID, for instance this, and the next one, for instance the Sarah, then the gender F, and the cell number. So this is, and the new file is generated over here, the info 44. And if I right click on the data and open it, so come to the open in the Explorer. So I have the Python file, my codes, and inside the data I have the PTX and the next PTX. So right click on it and open it. Come to the more apps and select the notepad. So I have the ID, the name Sarah up to the end. And also I can open it with the next one and the ID up to the end. Congratulations, we did it. Now we know how to save the customer data inside the text files easily and quickly. So I did it, and I completed the first step, saving the customer data. And the next step is talking about how to search the customer data. It's really amazing and great. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's think about how we can search the customer data using the Python. So let's do it. First, I talked about how to save the customer data, and the next step is searching the customer information. So if we want to search the data, at the first step, we need to get the data to search. So come over here, and this is my project's customer info, the data, and right click on it, new, and the Python file, and name it the search SEO data. So let's say search SEO data or anything that you want. Now I have the file. At the top, we need to get the ID to search. So come over here, and this is my save. To explain my tutorial, let's copy this part and come to the search and paste over here. Now I have the ID that please enter the customer ID to search. And this is to search. So right click over here and run. Please enter the customer ID to search. And let's write, for instance, 111, and this is the result. Currently, I haven't anything. At the next step, I need to check if this file exists or not. So I have the customer ID, and it is a string, and it is the user input by this line of the code. So at the next step, we need to generate the file name by this ID. Previously, I talked about it, and here I have the file name that is generated by this formula. So I have it, and I have the file name, the info plus the customer ID plus the .ptx something like this, info_4.ptx. So let's do it. To start my tutorial, I can copy this part, and this is come to the next one and here. So my file name is info plus cuid, this, and print. Also I can print the result to check if it's working or not. So come over here, and this is right click and run. Now please enter the customer ID to search for says 22. So the info_22.ptx. In the next step, we need to check if this file exists or not. So go over here, add some comment, and previously I talked about how to check if the file exists or not. This is my file, and file exists. Currently, I assume that you watch my previous tutorial. So if you don't know anything about the file exists checking, don't hesitate to watch my previous tutorial. Copy this part to stop my tutorial, come to the search and paste over here. Now I have the import OS. I can cut this and come to the top of my code and paste it over here. Import OS. And inside the OS, I have the path and exists, and check if this file exists or not. And currently I have the file name, indeed my text file, but my text file is inside the data folder and inside this. So like the save, we need to add the data to my file name. So let's copy this and come over here, and where are you, this one, and paste over here instead of the file name. So I want to check if this file exists or not. The data plus the slash and the file name, and this plus the data. Now if the R is true, it means the file exists, and I need to write the code to search the data based on the ID. And also I have the else over here, and it means the file not found or the ID not found. Now let's right click over here and run. And suppose I want to search the 44. Currently I have the 44 over here. So let's say 44 and press enter. This is the file name and the file exists. Also I can comment this part because we don't need it anymore. Now come over here and run, and the ID to search. I have also 222. So let's write the wrong number like 11 and press enter. The not found. So the next step is writing the code for loading the data. To do that, I need to write my code inside the if structure over here exactly. So this is the print, I don't need it. Let's delete that. And the next step is loading the data. Previously I talked about how to save the data by something like this formula. And if I come and open my info, so I have the ID at the top, the name over here, the gender, and the cell number. At the first step, I need to load that file and get all of these lines. First, I talked about how to read the lines of the data easily and quickly. To do that, as I told you previously, we need to open the file, this file, then read the data and close it. And this is the steps: opening the file, reading, and closing. So come over here and come to my project and come to the save CU. Over here I have the open, then write, and the close. To stop my tutorial, I can copy this part, go over here, and inside the if structure paste it. So I have the if structure, and also I can come over here, copy this part, and for better aligning of the codes, so this is the result. Now I need to open the file. This is my file name. Then I need to change the W to R because I want to read the file. Now I need to read the data. To do that, come over here and select this one after opening it as the read mode. So previously I talked about how to read the contents of the file. To do that, I have the read, readline, and readlines. I want to read the data inside my text file entirely at once, so I can use the read. And after running this one, I have the return value, and I can say the R as the return value, or CU data, or CU info is not important matter. Let's write the CU data and equals to this. Now I have the CU data and it is all of the information of my user, something like this, all of this. The only thing I need is printing the CU data. So after closing it, I can say print data. Also, I can print that after this line over here, no matter and no problem. So let's add it over here and come to this one and say print. Print what? Print the CU data, and this is the CU data. So if I come over here and run, please enter the customer ID to search. For instance, the 11 and not found. Also, I can come to this and say 44. So this is and press enter. Congratulations, the ID, the name, the gender, and the cell number. All of these are loaded directly inside my console. Also, I can come to the info 44, for instance, and change the F to female. Come over here, let's save to be sure everything is saving, and come to this and let's write the 44, press enter. Now I have the female, cell number, ID, and all of this, and everything is completely working. So I have the data folder with many different files for each customer. So I have two options, one for saving the data and second for searching the data easily and quickly. And let's try the next ID 222 and come over here and write 222, and this is. So I have all the information, the ID, the name, the gender, and cell number. And as I told you previously, you can change the data types, and currently I'm using 4 different data for my customer. Also, you can add the address, the phone number, and also the email, the nickname, first name, last name, the job, the income, and many other information based on your needs. So there's no limitation, and indeed all of my records and data are saved inside the text file. So come over here, the data, and open in the Explorer. And if I get inside the data, for each customer I have the text file that I can start working with it. And for instance, if I click on this, I have all of the information for the Sarah, and the next one is the MJ with all of this data inside my text file. So there's no limitation, you can start working with many different customers. Congratulations, my mission is done. Now my project is successfully completed, and I created the customer info project easily and quickly in the Python. So it's your turn to start working with this great project, and don't forget, the only thing can help you to become the amazing and professional programmer is your effort. So never give up your mission and never give up your fight against the learning. Try, and try. With the best wishes. Thanks for your time.